Hello, everybody. Welcome to GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports, where every play counts. I'm Grant, and I'm here with my co-host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Grant. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're kind of getting into that dead spot of the year with sports where it's kind of hard to talk about. Not a lot to talk about, uh, more to say, but yeah, we'll go ahead and start out this episode like we start out every week with our hot take of the week. So, Mason, what is your hot take for this week?
All right, so I don't think a lot of people will agree with this, but it's my hot take. I think that the Detroit Pistons will be this year's Cleveland Cavaliers from last year. I could see them getting bounced in round one. Sure, they have the guys. Cade Cunningham's doing great, but I just don't know how they'll be able to play in a 7-game series this year. They beat good teams. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, I don't know. They're very physical. I can see a lot of guys getting fouled out pretty often. And I don't know if Cade will be able to have that one guy who can just help him throughout the whole series. So we'll see. I think they're a very good team, but Cavs were a very good team last year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Who do you think that's in the East right now that if they faced off against the Pistons would beat them?
I could see. Well, right now, I don't know, but I could see the Knicks potentially. They did it
You mean the
before. They're
team
not
that is
playing
one and
great.
four against the
They're not
Pistons or
playing.
something?
Yeah, they were. I don't think they beat Boston all last year throughout the regular season. Then they beat them in the 7-game series last year. So I like when people say about the whole regular season record against the teams, but we've seen it in almost every sport where I know I keep kind of referring back to the New York sports, but Yankees couldn't beat the Red Sox in the regular season the year prior. They beat them in a series for the playoffs. So yeah, I mean that's just what I see. That's what I watch, and it happens time and time again. So we'll see. It all comes down to who's hot, who's not in the playoffs. So yeah,
I think the Pistons are such a good team built for the playoffs where defense really matters. They're a bunch of rough
yeah,
riders. They're not the flashiest team on paper, but they got guys that are going to go out there and get the job done, and they play to a physical level. I think the Knicks play a very soft brand of basketball. They play a very flashy
I
brand of
agree.
basketball. The Cavs are the one team that's starting to kind of make me
Oh
open my
right,
eyes in
yeah.
the East a little bit. Maybe they could beat the Pistons, but like as we've seen in the past, they've had their issues in the playoffs. I really think that you got to give the Pistons their flowers. I mean, they've looked like the best team in the East this whole season. The Celtics are starting to heat up. I think they're second place in the East now, and who knows?
Hmm.
Maybe they get Tatum back for the playoffs. It sounds like he might be ramping up. So I mean, yeah, you never know, but I think as of right now, I'm still under the belief that the Pistons are the favorites to win in the East.
Okay. Yeah, I was just about to ask. Is that they're your favorites? So who would be your second favorite right now? Right now, Cleveland.
Probably Cleveland. Yeah, they've looked so good
Okay,
since they got in James Harden. And then probably Boston behind
understandable.
that. Boston and Knicks are pretty close, but I
Yeah.
think I'm leaning towards Boston, especially if they get Tatum back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll go into my hot take of the week, Mason. I don't know if you saw this, but Tariq Skubal said that he's only going to be pitching one game in the
Mm-hmm.
WBC, and it's going to be against Great Britain in one of like the early games. And my hot take for this week is that I think that's pretty lame. I think that if you're one of the best pitchers in baseball, you're back-to-back Cy Youngs. We don't. If you're going to play just one game, that's fine. But how about you make that one game like the semifinals against the Dominican Republic or the championship against Japan? Why are we just pitching one game against Great Britain? We could go have a AAA starter go pitch that game, and we probably go out and win. So I think that's pretty lame. Everyone was super excited to see him and Paul Skeens at the top of the rotation for this USA team, and for him to come out and say, "Oh yeah, I'm only pitching one game, and it's going to be in the knockout round against Great Britain." I just think that's pretty lame, personally. I don't know if you have any
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
No, I saw that just before we started saying that Scuba said he'd only pitch one game, and I didn't know it was confirmed that he was going to play or which game it would be. But I just kind of expected that it was going to be a later, like more playoff
Mm-hmm.
type game, not like Great
That was
Britain,
one of the first
who,
games.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really agree with that, like you're mentioning, but sure, one of the best pitchers in baseball wants to stay healthy, but at the end of the day, this is a once in a few years thing where you show out for your country, and we saw how it just went down with the Olympics. Those guys gave their all. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with that, but.
Yeah, I guess the thing I just don't get, like, I get the whole not wanting to get injured thing or whatever, but like, would you not be doing the same thing, throwing bullpens in spring training, trying to ramp up for a
Yeah.
regular season? Like, I get you probably won't go like into late innings in spring training at all at high intensity like you would in the WBC, but I don't know. I feel like it's gotten a little soft with the whole trying to prevent injuries thing. Like, I was so excited to see like a Paul Skeens and Tariq Skubal 1-2, and now we're not even going to see that. I think Paul Skeens as of right now is still planning on pitching deep into the tournament, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth for Skubal. I feel like I thought that I like to look at Skubal as a guy that competes and wants to win, and
Mm.
I don't know. I'm just not getting that vibe from him anymore after this WBC thing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I haven't really been watching too many other spring training games. Sure, call me biased, Yankees, whatever. But would you say that guys who are ready to go into the WBC have been playing at a higher level right now, other than guys who are just in the regular spring training kind of
I
mode?
have I have noticed that a lot of teams, the players that are playing in the WPC are playing like right away. I know that
Yeah.
usually in spring training it'll go like a few games, like 10 games in, and then the starters will start slowly making their
Hmm.
way. And so I have noticed that for a lot of teams, it has been them trying to ramp up. As far as the pitching goes, I think it's been like the same where like they'll go out there, throw a couple innings, but as far as the
Hmm.
offensive side of the ball, I've noticed, especially if like the Cubs, like Bregman and PCA have been getting their at bats, and Seiya has been getting his at bats. And honestly, it's kind of funny because I guess Seiya is playing center field for Team Japan, and he's never played center field for us before. So we were putting him out in
That's
center
funny.
field the other day in spring training. So I definitely have noticed that these teams are trying to get their players ready for the WBC. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens as far as the pitching goes. I don't know if Scubal's going to be the only one that only throws one game. I really hope not, because I feel like this Team USA team has a chance to do something special.
Yeah, I agree.
I do know that Otani's not pitching for Japan, but he's still going to be hitting.
I
So
saw that. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Now we'll go ahead and get into our underdog of the week. So who's your underdog for this week?
Yeah, so I have kind of two. I mentioned a little bit of the Olympics just a bit earlier, and my first is Jack Hughes scored game-winning goal for gold versus Canada. Last time USA men's hockey won gold was the Miracle on Ice against Canada in 1980. And then shout out to women's hockey as well, kind of doubled down, beating Canada in their own sport. So I saw people calling Canada like East Alaska now, which is pretty funny. But yeah, and then another one, Connor Hellebuck, 95% save versus shot percentage throughout the Olympics. The goaltender for USA, he was just absolutely phenomenal. He had some of the best saves. I don't watch hockey too much, but some of the best saves that I've seen. So and it was probably the biggest game of his career, at least nationally. So it it was just great to see that, and for people to really rally behind their country. So that was fun to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I like it. I guess we're on the same wavelength here because I did pick USA men's hockey team for my
Hmm.
underdogs of the week. Like you said, won gold for the first time in 46 years, and they were underdogs going into this game against Canada. So it's not like they were some favorite team. Granted, this was like the most talented team they had put together in a long time, it
Yeah.
sounds like, but they were still underdogs, on the as far as betting goes. So, yeah, just a really cool story to see. The game was really exciting. Um, it's funny. I was at Disney that morning, and I kind of heard like when once the goal was scored, like my dad was watching it on his phone, and then like there's a bunch of other people at Disney that were watching on their phone, and there's like USA chants breaking out and stuff. It was just kind of
That's funny.
funny. Kind of cool to see everyone, come together for an event like that. And yeah, I really enjoyed the Olympics. I thought there was a lot of cool underdog stories, like between the two hockey teams, and then that figure skater for America, Just a lot of cool different stories that we got to see. So yeah, that was my underdog of the week as well.
Yeah, also a huge shout out to Mike Tirico. He is like the sportscaster for the Olympics. He does a lot with the NFL and stuff too. But he had a quote where it said, I think it was during the closing, that said, "These Olympians were watching just like you are, and like sports brings people together and is one of the biggest things in this nation." So it was really cool to kind of give motivation for the other people who are looking on throughout the Olympics and be like, this could be you. So huge shout out to Mike Tirico as well. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, that guy's the GOAT. I mean, the fact that he was at the Super Bowl and then
Yeah.
flew straight to Milan right
Yeah,
after
right.
that. I mean, that guy is very dedicated, and you can't do the Olympics without him, in my opinion. That guy is just
No, no.
amazing. But yeah, as far as the whole it could be you thing, it is crazy to see some of these Olympic athletes. Like I was watching the snowboard half pipe, and there's people that are like 17 years old
17.
going up there,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I
dude,
know.
like I mean, I know I'm not old, but it doesn't make me feel any young seeing these people going up there and doing
Yeah.
that on a world stage. Like this is the best of the best athletes, and we got
Hmm.
17-year-olds going out there doing it. So it really is just crazy to see how more developed these athletes are getting in it's such a quick amount of time. But yeah, just I love
Yeah.
the Olympics. It was a great Winter Olympics. So glad we got to talk about
Yep.
that for a little bit.
Me too.
All right, now we'll go ahead and slide over to the NBA and we'll do our player and teams of the week. So Mason, who is your player of the week?
Yeah, so I mentioned him. He's been very good. Cade Cunningham, 25.3 points per game. I know. I'm backtracking. I said he's having a great regular season. You can have a great regular season. 7.6 rebounds per game, 12 assists per game in the last 3 games. So shout out to him. And yeah.
Okay. For my player of the week, it's funny. I think that what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna give a player from your team of the week, and you just gave a player from my team of the week, so it's gonna be funny. But my player of the week is Victor Wembanyama. In this in this 9-game win streak that the Spurs have had, he's averaged
Absolutely.
25
Yeah.
points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists with 1 steal and 3.5 blocks per game. Just playing at an insane level, and played a really exciting game against the Pistons last night and beat the Pistons. So. Yeah, I just wanted to shout out Victor Wembanyama, and I'll let you go ahead and transition to your team of the week because I have a feeling it'll be the Spurs.
Yeah, because I wasn't picking anyone else. Yeah, the Spurs are 9-1 in their last 10, 9-game win streak, doing absolutely great coming out of the All-Star break. And like you mentioned, Wemby's been amazing, and huge shout out to Wemby again. I know we kind of did it last week as well for making the All-Star games very entertaining. So yeah, the Spurs are my team of the week.
So now I'm just thinking off the top of my head based off of your
There we go.
hot take.
There
No,
we
I'm
go.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so if the Spurs like, can you see that happening? Like you said with the Pistons, like where they're going to struggle in the playoffs and be like the Cavs. Can you see that happening with the Spurs, who have beaten like the
Nope.
Thunder 3 times in the regular season?
No, not them.
Oh, so that argument just goes away when it's a team that you like.
Yeah, because no, because the Thunder were on like one of the hottest starts to a season, and they just came off of a championship. So
But the Pistons have been the best team in the East from beginning to now.
yeah, but who'd they beat? Finals contend or NBA conference finals contenders, the Knicks, who have
They've
been
beaten
playing
the
soft
Knicks,
all
they've beaten
year.
the Celtics. I'm
They've
sure
been
they've
so
beaten a lot of teams
streaky.
in the West.
I don't know. No.
Oh no, my camera went out. I'm probably gonna be without a camera for the rest of the episode. You can still hear me though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna give flowers to the Spurs, you got to give it to the Pistons too. I feel like they're in very similar boats there. But anyways, for my team of the week, I am going with the Detroit Pistons, who are 8-2 in their last 10 games, have been at the top of the East
Yeah.
all season long. And I just think they're such a talented team. And I will say this, for some reason, people think that Cade Cunningham isn't the favorite for MVP. I do not understand that whatsoever. This
I can
guy,
see that.
in
Yeah.
my opinion, is the most valuable player right now. If you take him away from that Pistons team, this Pistons team is terrible. Like if we're being
That's what I'm
completely honest,
saying.
Jalen Duren. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, okay. But Cade Cunningham is that good of a player. He elevates everyone around him. So
Okay.
that just goes to show how valuable he is and how good he makes this Pistons team. That doesn't mean that I think the Pistons are going to do good in the playoffs because it's not like they're not going to have Cade Cunningham in the playoffs unless he gets hurt. Um, so yeah, I'm going with the Detroit Pistons for my team of the week.
Okay.
All right. We'll now go ahead and slide over to the MLB because baseball has begun. Spring training is underway, and I couldn't really think of too many talking points so far since it just started. So I kind of just want to know what you're looking for with your team. Obviously, you're the Yankees fan, and I'll give what I'm looking for as a Cubs fan. So, yeah, what are you looking for so far?
Yeah, I'm just looking for consistent hitting and good defensive play from the starters. They aren't playing like you mentioned too much. They kind of play a little farther down throughout spring training, but you see like Paul Goldschmidt playing, Jazz Chisholm, Austin Wells, kind of guys like that. I'd like to see them just be consistent because it's not like they're playing against starters every time. So I'd really like them to kind of take advantage of what they're given, and just be smart with it. Austin Wells kind of throwing around the ABS system, and it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't really want to see that whenever it kind of comes to regular season time. So kind of things like that, just small things. And then player development with the minor league guys, especially the big names like Spencer Jones. It was cool to see him hit a home run. I know he's kind of had a lot of backlash kind of leading up into spring training, so it'd be cool to see him play pretty well. And then Yarbrough, he had a couple major league games last year, but I'd like to see him be consistent throughout the spring training. So just guys like that just develop pretty well, and really my biggest thing is consistency. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. For as far as the Cubs go, I think the only thing I'm really looking for, because I feel like as good of a group of prospects we have, I feel like a lot of them aren't going to be expected to come up this year and play at all. I feel like our roster is pretty set for the most part. So the only thing I'm really looking for is just that last bullpen spot that's going to get filled. I don't know who it's going to be. We brought a lot of guys into spring training to try to figure that out, and I'm sure they will as time goes on. But that's one of the things I'm looking for, and then just kind of seeing who will fill in that last bench spot or outfield spot. Obviously, the Cubs signed Michael Conforto yesterday on a minor league deal, so he's now in the mix. And they signed guys like Chas McCormick and James Dean and uh, Dylan Carlson, who is a former top prospect. So it's clear that they're trying to get one more outfielder on this roster. So I'm interested to see how that race, looks going into the end of spring training. But yeah, that's kind of just the two things I'm looking for. I know a lot of people freak out when their teams are losing spring training games, but at the end of the day, that's not what spring training is about, winning or losing. It's about getting ready for the season.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for in spring training so far.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we'll go ahead and slide over to the NFL because there's a couple things to talk about. Starting with tight end Kyle Pitts has been franchise tagged by the Atlanta Falcons. Mason, did you see this coming?
Yeah, I kind of think so. You can't, especially kind of how he ended last season when he was used a lot more. You really saw what he was expected to do, at least throughout his career so far. Um, and I could really see him if he goes somewhere else being one of the better tight ends in the league just because he hasn't been used to his fullest potential, I think. So, yeah, I saw it coming. Um, I was expecting him to be a big person to go after in free agency, like a couple of the other tight ends that are out there, like Likely and Njoku that we talked about last week. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's a smart move for the Falcons, especially with what they're trying to build and Matt Ryan being in the building there. So I think he's going to make some pretty big decisions.
Yeah. It kind of leads me to my next question. Do you think because of the end into the season he had last year, that's what led to the franchise tag? Or do you think even if he didn't have those big weeks, he would have still been franchise tagged?
I think it definitely helps. I think that it really depends on kind of the other contracts and the guys that would have potentially have been walking after this season, but I don't think that there were any names as big as Kyle Pitts to have their contract, kind of let up. So
Hmm.
I think that he would have been franchise tagged regardless, but this definitely helps them in making that decision easier for the front office.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And then the other news is two Cowboys moves. Javonte Williams signed a 3-year, $24 million extension with the Cowboys, and they're also expected to franchise tag George Pickens. I think that this makes sense. I think that those were two players that were part of a very good offense in Dallas this last season. So I think it would have been dumb to give up both of those guys. So yeah, I agree with those moves. Mason, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's pretty much the exact thing that you'd want to have happen as a Cowboys fan. George Pickens, great player, but we didn't get to see a full year of him and CD to where if CD was completely healthy all year, how that kind of share would happen. But they do combat or they do correlate very well together. And Javonte Williams, I think he did very well as well. So yeah, I think they got this pretty right.
Yeah. All right. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and slide over to boxing because I don't know if you saw this, but it was announced that Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 2 has been announced. Mason, what are your thoughts on this fight?
It it feels like a old head kind of thing right now, where it can be a two, yeah, but whenever you usually see two, it's like they're in their primes, and they're kind
Mhm.
of still have something to fight for. But I think it's just a money grab, especially with Floyd Mayweather. Um, he knows how to sell a fight, and especially Manny Pacquiao, his name being involved with that, I think it's going to be just a huge payday.
Yeah. I think that if this fight was 10 years ago, I would have been
Yeah,
absolutely floored for it because obviously their first fight was one of the most notorious Floyd Mayweather fights. That was the closest that Floyd ever got to losing, in my opinion. Just a very exciting fight in that first one. And I think that if there was a rematch back in the day, I think that there was a case that Pacquiao could win a rematch and, take that throne of Floyd Mayweather's undefeated record. Now that they're both well into their 50s, I'm not really as excited for it. And I'm sure it's an exhibition, so it's not going to go on either's record. So, like you said, feels like a cash grab. I just kind of thought it would be an interesting point to talk about because it is news nonetheless. I'm sure some people are excited about it, but for me personally, this would have been way more exciting if they did this back in both of their primes when everyone was asking for it back then. But yeah,
yeah, I think there's a big reason why Floyd didn't do it, a rematch when they were both fighting.
yeah,
Cause
100%. Hundred
yeah,
percent. Yep. All right. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap up this episode. So, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description, see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason. Sign off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
thank you guys.